Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going over how to repaint an Xbox One controller. So right here I have a standard black Xbox One controller. It's one of the original ones that came with the Xbox One. You can tell because right here it has that shiny plastic piece instead of just going over completely with the matte color. So what we have is we have our screwdriver here. It is a T8 screwdriver. This one is from Kingston. So, yeah. We have our sandpaper. I have the 800 grit, wet or dry. You want to use a high grit on that. That way you are not actually scratching up the surface. You are just roughing it up just a little bit. Colors I'm going to be using. I have this Poppy Red Satin by Rust-Oleum. I have the Oasis Blue, also from Rust-Oleum. And then to give it that nice high gloss finish, we have a clear gloss clear coat to put on there. So first things first, take out the battery. So we have our battery taken off here. When you are painting this, if you decide to paint the back plate here, you're going to make sure to cover up these battery terminals. Otherwise, if you decide to use a standard battery on these controllers, it won't work. The electricity won't be able to go through the paint, okay? So make sure you cover those up. If you want it to be nice and cohesive, you can always just throw that back on there. That'll be fine, okay? So there's a number of places where you will be getting the screws. So first things first, we're going to be removing these side pieces, okay? What you're going to be doing is, if you have a spudger, which is a nice little nylon tool to get in there, you're going to pry it in. Otherwise, you can use your nail. Using your nail, though, is going to be a little bit more hard. So I'm going to go ahead and grab out a spudger, and I'm going to remove that. Be right back. So I went ahead and I grabbed my spudger here. See, just a little tool to get in there. Not focusing very well, but just a little tool to get in there and pry against these pieces right here. So you can use a metal one. A metal one is more likely to scratch up your controller. So I definitely recommend using one of these nylon ones. So with the spudger here, all that you're really going to be doing is you're going to be working in all the way around. And it's a little bit hard to do with only one hand, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and then I'll be right back. So as you can see, I went ahead and I removed those hand pieces. So all that you really do is you take your nylon spudger, you pry it in right here, right here. Go ahead and pry right there, and it'll pop right off. As long as you know what you're doing, you shouldn't break anything. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our T8 security screwdriver. We're going to unscrew right here, right here, right here, right there are going to be our 4 main screws. Now, once you get those 4 off, you are going to have a little bit of a hard time because there's still another screw that Microsoft went ahead and hid. Right in here, underneath that sticker, is going to be another security screw. Now, if you don't mind breaking through that sticker, you can just push right on through, have access to that screw. Otherwise, you can try to lift up this sticker. There's really no point. So just go ahead and push through right there and get that last screw out. Alright? Alright, so I went ahead and removed all my screws. Once you get all those out, it should just come right apart. Okay, if you're planning on painting that back piece there, go ahead and set that to the side. If you do, go ahead and put that battery plate back on. That way you're going to be protecting your terminals. Okay? Otherwise, go ahead and take those off. The base plate should just go ahead and pop right off. So that's what we're going to be painting right there. Not going to be worrying about any of the buttons or anything like that, or the shiny piece there. If you want to go ahead and paint those, that's going to be a little bit more of a takedown, or you can just go ahead and tape everything off. All right, we're going to set that to the side. We're going to take this right here, and we're going to have to sand it. So all that we're going to be really doing is we're going to be removing a lot of that shiny piece. We're just going to be roughing it up a little bit. That way the paint has a little bit of something to stick to. Okay? And go ahead and do the same thing there. You can do it to your hand plates as well, as long as those are going to be something that you want to paint. Okay? Myself, I think we're just going to be painting this faceplate right here. Everything else is going to be kept black. We don't really care about that. Alright, so you're going to be taking your sandpaper. Like I said, for me, I have this 800 grit, wet or dry. Just going to be dry sanding it. Going to be doing this just to buff down these pieces. Now, if it's a controller that you've been using quite a bit, go ahead and wash it. Just simple soap and water, just a mild dish detergent should work, just to remove all those oils that your hands have been putting on there, just to clean that off. So I'm going to go ahead and clean mine, and then I'm going to give it a light sanding just to show you guys what it's going to be looking like before we decide to paint it. Okay? Be right back. So there it is. Went ahead and washed it. You can see it has a little bit of wear marks right there. Those should be fine. Those should come up. Covered up with paint. Alright. So, nice and shiny. We're going to go ahead and dole that up with the sandpaper that we have. Just really lightly. Don't go and stay in any one spot for too long trying to get out those wear marks. Those are going to be covered up with the paint. You will not notice those. It will look new again, so do not sit there with your sandpaper and keep going over it. You're going to end up ruining your controller face, and it's going to end up looking a lot worse than when you started. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this down a little bit, and I'll show you guys once I'm done. So there it is, real light sanding. Go ahead and wash it off again afterwards. You're going to use, again, just a light, mild soap with water just to get those little particles off. Right, there's a little bit of dust on there. We're going to go ahead and clean that off. And that gives us our roughed up surface so that the paint actually has something to adhere to. Alright, so here we have it. I went ahead and washed it after sanding it, and this is what it looks like. You can see the little imperfections that I have here from sanding it, where I may have gone a little bit too hard, but I wanted to make sure that all these raised areas were sanded properly so that they can go ahead and have the paint adhere to them. Now these areas here, they should not show through the paint, so I should have nothing to worry about there. I cannot feel any scratches on them, so they feel smooth. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on painting. Alright, so here we are. I went ahead and already re-put together this controller. I wanted to show you guys what it looked like when I was done. I didn't take any footage of me actually painting the controller because, like I stated before in the video, I was painting it with my 4-year-old son. This is going to be his controller to start playing around with. And I didn't want to be behind the camera while I was doing that. I wanted to make sure that we were being safe, and I wanted to pay attention to him painting the controller. So what I did was I went ahead and I layered down a couple layers of red paint with about 3 or 4 minutes to allow it to dry in between. Once I did about 3 layers of red, I went ahead into the blue. What we did was I had put some gloves on my son, and we painted some blue onto the fingers of the gloves, and we just had him flick. He flicked it all across, and you can see right over here, he actually touched it. But that's all right. Adds a little bit of character. So we let that dry for about 10 minutes before we started the clear coat process. Sprayed on about 3 or 4 coats with about 5 minutes in between each coat to let it set. After that, we allowed it to dry for 24 hours before we actually put it back together. Now it's kind of hard to see in the video, but there are very, very subtle fingerprints from when I was putting it back together. But you can't see any of it unless you actually get up really, really close, and it doesn't show on this camera. So if you want to let it dry for a little bit longer than 24 hours, that would probably be best. Recommended on the bottle of clear coat says about 5 to 7 days for a plastic surface for it to actually set properly. So up to you guys what you want to do, but this is what we came up with. He is very proud and he loves playing around with his controller. So up next, I'm going to go ahead and take one of my controllers. You can tell this is one of the newer Xbox One controllers because it is one solid piece instead of one of the other ones that has this little piece right here. So I'll take this one apart, paint it, probably make a video of that one as well as I'm taking it apart and actually show you guys how I am painting it. Yeah. So that's the finished product. If you guys liked what you saw, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'll make some more videos of me painting some controllers. Like I showed, I have 2 other controllers that are flat black that I'm going to go ahead and paint. I just need to come up with a design. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.